welcome to Ecoholics. Today we are going to understand another concept from the teaching aptitude for the UGC NET paper 1 examination, which relates to how to teach. Everyone wonders to or aspires to become a professor or a teacher or an educator. However, there are essentials that are not just going to be helpful in your competitive examination of various levels like UGC NET or any examination related to teaching, but will also help you in life in general while you actually communicate to a specific audience, whether it be a child or an elder or a person who may already have some knowledge about a particular concept. So, which is why today we are going to emphasize on the various concepts related to how to teach. Firstly, we are going to identify the various principles that commonly are used by essentially teachers and facilitators and educators. So there are various typical principles that are required for teaching, and that should be taken into consideration while a certain thing is communicated to a certain audience. So let us start. The very first one is interest. Obviously, without knowing the interest of the audience, of the students, a particular concept cannot be started. So before starting a concept, usually the teachers try to identify the interest areas or try to build a certain interest area around which the concept is going to be developed. So which is why interest becomes a very pivotal game changer while something is getting communicated. For example, a particular philosophy or a particular concept has to be communicated, which is very tricky, or it has a numerical around side of it and it's very difficult to understand as it is. But relativity of that particular concept or a case study with a certain movie or with certain real life experience will definitely change the interest area of the student, and people are going to be, or students are going to be attracted to that concept, and they're going to quickly learn that concept. So the very first principle is interest. Then the second one is selection. Whenever a teacher goes to teach into a class, the first thing that has to be done is to select already the topics that have to be taught. Impromptu talking about various topics at a stretch will just create a lot of misorderly communication and will definitely not be very efficient way in which the information is going to be given to the students. So a particular selection of topics should always be done primary to the actual teaching. Then the next one is planning. For a student and as well as for a teacher, it's very important to plan their lectures and plan their studies respectively. For teachers, planning is very important because a particular schedule or a particular lecture may incorporate a lot of case studies or examples or numericals, which is very important for a particular student to understand or to grasp a certain concept nicely. For example, a particular concept of statistics, let's say mean or the concept of mode or a concept of median, has been taught in the classroom. However, because of the unplanned way in which it was taught, there was no numerical which was done by the faculty or the teacher. Now this will just make the students aware of the concept theoretically, but practically they might not be able to solve the questions. So planning of the lecture and preparing for that lecture in hand primarily before teaching is very much required, highly required. Then the next one is division. Now what do you divide? Division of concepts and division of syllabus also is very important to do. Let's say there's a lengthy syllabus that is received in a particular curriculum by a teacher. Now to teach it according to the norms of a specific university or an institution. Secondly, teaching it within the time frame which has been provided by that particular university or institution. Thirdly, to deliver all the information as well as the various concepts effectively and efficiently are the three important tasks which are not going to be done properly if the division of the syllabus is not being done. And of course, that is also related to planning as well. If the planning has not been done properly by a teacher, they will take a lot of time delivering a major concept, but probably they have eaten up a lot of time which they could have utilized in trying to explain some other concepts in the whole session, and which is why there might be problems of uncompleted syllabus within the time frame. So this of course is very important. That is there also has to be a point to be noted that there are many a times that student and teacher interactions, examples and lengthy syllabus and concepts may disrupt the timeline, because of which the whole syllabus may not be completed in the time limit or the time frame which has been pre-decided. However, there is also something which is known as remedial lectures that can be taken up later. Okay, so that is division. Then the next one is revision. For a teacher, for an educator, a major principle of revision keeps on revolving around the syllabus, because a teacher, while finally evaluating whatever was taught, it will not be very efficient if the proper revision of the whole syllabus was not done during the classes or during the lectures. So there have to be, along with the syllabus division, there has to also be the division of time or schedules, wherein regular intervals or at regular intervals there are going to be tests or quizzes or certain interactions and discussions which will incorporate revision of the syllabus. Next one is motivation. When there are lengthy syllabuses and when there are a lot of concepts hovering around on the student's mind, of course it's very important for the teacher, for the facilitator to motivate and encourage the students to keep them going. Confidence, of course, is an inbuilt character which gradually comes in every student, but not every student would be aware that they can be confident about a certain concept or about how they are going to prepare for a certain examination. So which is why it's absolutely a major principle of teaching for an educator, for a teacher, to keep them motivating, keep them going on, and eventually they will turn up in the right directions and fall along the right lanes. So these are a few principles of teaching. There are a few more. Now there is also a part of recreation. There are times when things get monotonous, especially in the experience of teaching. Of course, there might be things which may get a lot monotonous when there's a whole lot of theory that has to be delivered. Theories related to history or historic perspective of a certain explanation or a concept may limit or may make the subject or a concept very dry, and which is why recreation will be very important. Now, recreation does not mean that every time a student or the gathering or the audience will be given a free lecture or a free class to play around or to do some play some games or something. Recreation is like an activity. It's like a brainstorming activity, or it can be used to play quizzes or play such games which can be incorporated in such a way that they become very productive. Probably there can be games that can be played around the concept of leadership, motivation, team spirits, all of these concepts which can bring about a change in personality of a student can be chosen as methodologies for recreation within a classroom setup. That will definitely encourage the students and will always make them really fresh for studying something new and more. Then, As I was mentioning to you all back in the back slide about remedial teaching, many a times students require more time to understand some concepts. There might be some students who might require some extra time to be given so that they could follow up in various concepts, numericals, case studies, all of that. So educator also should have that kind of buffer time so that they could plan remedial classes for students, so that everyone is on the same page while giving the examination and while preparation of the examination happens. Then sensory training is basically making them alert. Students often lose their selves while studying for long hours, and because of that, alertness about time, about place, about how quickly you have to respond to something will always be a part of the principles of teaching. And which is why at regular intervals the teacher can facilitate the students with quizzes or with some timely games, time duration games, or certain tests which are related to a certain time frame, which can be played online or which can be dealt with offline as well, which will definitely make them more alert. Then group discussions and debates also become a very integral part of this, because students may express whatever they feel about a particular concept or a theme in a much more interesting way or a different way if such sessions are taken up regularly. Personality building also happens while the other subjects are being learned. So this also is a duty of every facilitator, every educator. Then sympathizing about a certain situation with students, feeling the pain or suffering of an individual while any situation arrives is of course an organic process, a very natural process. So that of course is a major principle. We cannot be arrogant or indifferent to the sufferings or pains of students or anybody for that matter. So it's a very human thing to do. Sympathizing would not mean that you will provide some extra marks or some extra brownie points in a certain assignment or an examination. Over here, sympathizing would mean that you understand the situation. You may give them some extra time to prepare for a particular concept, which will then which will definitely give them that equal opportunity that they might have missed because of a certain uncertain situation. Then creativity, of course, enforcement of creativity, establishment of creativity can easily happen when the presenter or the facilitator, the educator, be in whichever state you are, or being in whichever level of faculty you are, or teaching to a very whether you're teaching to a child or whether you're teaching to a teenager or a much elder person. Creativity can change, or creativity can be moderated according to the age group. So for a child, more colors and more colorful playful things or images will definitely be helpful to teach them, enrich their knowledge, while teenagers or for elders there would be some other things that can be done. Models or artistic formations or certain concepts that could be explained in a group study concept can definitely help in enhancing creativity in a classroom setup. And finally, reinforcement. Usually students might lose track of whatever is happening in the class, maybe because of lack of alertness, or maybe because of lack of one's self. So for that particular matter, as an educator, it is of course the duty that everybody is on the same page and everybody is learning, and which is why impromptu quizzes or impromptu asking of questions, making drills or mock drills for various concepts in the class at regular intervals, or emphasizing on a slight discipline during the class will always establish the reinforcement of all of those students who might have lost track from the concepts. So this becomes the concept or the various principles of teaching. Then we also understand ultimately what is the process of teaching. So we just can frame this in a simple circular formation, which leads to some topics or some concepts that every educator and every teacher can imbibe. The teaching has to happen from simple concepts to complex concepts. Obviously, with a theory and then numerical attached to it will definitely enforce conceptual clarity within the student's mind. Then known to unknown, something that can be relatable to something that cannot be related, of course, can be a process of teaching that will definitely ensure that they would be capable of knowing even more about the unknown. Then thirdly, concrete to abstract. You cannot just bring about a certain concept of philosophy, let's say a certain perennialism, or you talk about certain concept like existentialism in the class without having the students know about the concept, who propounded it, who gave it, what was the context of giving such a philosophical concept. So whenever you put a concept ahead, you have to create a base or a foundation of it, and which is why it should go from concrete to abstract. Then you have the concept of specific facts should be discussed first, and then of course we can go into another discussion which can be much more dynamic in nature. Psychological to logical. Now this just means that firstly a teacher will be understanding the psyche of students, how well they are comfortable with the concept. Once they are comfortable with the concept, then you can launch various logical propositions to them and they will understand it. But if they're not on the same page as you, they will just lose track and direction. Then analysis and synthesis. Analysis of topics and trying to relate the topics with each other, of course, is a very important deal. And finally, self-study. Emphasizing on self-study so that there is a lot of introspection. That is the last layer or the last level of teaching, which means to introspect. How a student will introspect whatever has been learned. Have I learned it properly? To reflect back and think about it. All of that will make a complete process of teaching. So this is all for the concept or the topic how to teach. I hope you have enjoyed this session, and keep liking and sharing our videos. Keep subscribing to Ecoholics and keep listening to more such videos related to various competitive exams. Thank you.